Angel made a bet with each other on this game. Is that bet still?
This is how the rich.
At All-Star Weekend, you and Angel made a bet with each other on this game. Is that bet still?
This is how the rich stay rich.
You gotta save this money. I'm gonna see you next week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
At night?
No, at practice.
Oh, at practice?
I mean, I know y'all gonna lose, but if y'all lose,
I get to have that.
if y'all win, you get 400.
I get 400. And if we lose, then you get to keep.
No, you owe me 400.
Bet I'm saying no man.
That exchange sounds casual, almost playful. But once two active players attach money to the result of a game they are about to play against each other, the conversation changes immediately. Was this harmless trash talk, an actual wager, or something the league's own rules cannot ignore?
This was a bet made at All-Star Weekend about last night's game. This was a bet that they were talking about at All-Star Weekend on last night's game. And then the craziest part is Angel Reese, after the game, admits she made a bet with Paige Bueckers saying, yeah, I'll be requesting my Apple Pay after this. Folks, I'm telling you.
And that post-game Apple Pay comment is why this story exploded. Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese were not discussing some random matchup happening across the league. They were talking about a game involving their own teams, their own performances, and an outcome they could directly influence. That does not automatically prove corruption. It does not prove either player intentionally missed a shot, manipulated a statistic, or tried to alter the final score. Those are enormous accusations, and there is no verified evidence in this material establishing any of them. But the absence of proof of game fixing does not make the exchange meaningless. The narrower question is whether the apparent agreement itself crossed a gambling policy, and whether the WNBA treated the situation with the seriousness its own rulebook demands. The league reportedly posted the clip on its official social media account and then removed it. That deletion created an even bigger problem, because now fans are not only debating what the players meant, they are asking what the league believed it had accidentally shown. And later, the exact wording of the rule creates a distinction that could determine whether this becomes a warning, a fine, a suspension, or nothing at all.
What we are surprised by is that the WNBA is actually stupid enough to admit it. That the WNBA is actually stupid, not only to admit it, but to put a clip of players confessing to it and then saying, oh damn, did we just do?
The host frames the deletion like an accidental confession, but that conclusion moves far beyond the available evidence. A social media team removing a controversial post does not prove that games are rigged. It could mean the post lacked context, created a compliance concern, attracted negative attention, or simply should never have been uploaded. Still, deleting it without a clear explanation invites suspicion. The cleanest response would be simple: acknowledge the clip, explain whether the exchange was a joke or a real transfer of money, identify the applicable policy, and disclose whether the league reviewed it. Silence leaves everyone else to fill in the blanks. That is especially dangerous for a professional sports league operating during an era when betting lines, player props, injury reports, and live odds surround nearly every game. Leagues cannot aggressively promote the entertainment ecosystem built around gambling and then appear casual when active players discuss wagering something of value on their own competition. Even a small private bet can create a major public integrity problem because fans cannot see where the joke ends and the financial interest begins.
Much to me, WNBA deletes post of Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese's making bet on their game. Now, before we get into the video, let me just say this. If nothing happens to these two ladies, there is a clear double standard when it comes to holding men accountable and when it comes to holding women accountable. If Paige and Angel don't get held accountable, I dare NBA players to do this. They might not only be getting suspended, they might actually get kicked out the league. Doesn't matter how big, how small. If NBA players are caught doing this, let alone post a video.
This is the first major pivot. The strongest argument is not that Reese and Bueckers must be expelled from the league. The strongest argument is that the WNBA should apply a recognizable process. The host predicts that NBA players would face immediate suspension or even permanent removal. That may be overstated, because discipline depends on the facts, the amount involved, the nature of the wager, whether it was fulfilled, and whether any competitive conduct was affected. But the comparison raises a legitimate fairness question. Would the same exchange be dismissed as friendly banter if it involved two established NBA stars openly discussing payment after a head-to-head game? Professional leagues usually guard against even the appearance that players have a personal financial incentive connected to a contest. The reason is obvious. A player does not need to bet thousands of dollars or use a sportsbook for the integrity issue to exist. If the wager concerns the outcome, score, or another aspect of the competition, the league has to determine whether its policy applies. And the detail that should bother the WNBA most comes later. The language quoted from its own rulebook appears broader than the casual meaning of sports betting. It reportedly covers direct or indirect wagering of money or anything of value. That wording may leave the league far less room to dismiss the exchange than people initially assume.
Now you take a look at the WNBA rulebook. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham would be banned from the WNBA for gambling, but they don't do it because they are classy. Based on the rules, Paige, Bueckers, and Angel Reese should be banned. Any player found by the commissioner after a hearing to have been guilty of wagering directly or indirectly, or of offering or attempting to wager money or anything of value on the outcome, score, or any other aspect of any WNBA competition shall, in the sole discretion of the commissioner, be subject to a fine, suspension, and/or dismissal and disqualification.
There is the central piece of evidence. According to the rule quoted in the video, a player found by the commissioner after a hearing to have wagered directly or indirectly, or offered or attempted to wager money or anything of value on the outcome, score, or any other aspect of a WNBA competition may face a fine, suspension, dismissal, or disqualification from further association with the league. Notice what the language does not say. It does not require a sportsbook account. It does not require a specific minimum dollar amount. It does not say the wager must be placed through a licensed operator. It does not require proof that the player altered her performance. Based on the wording presented here, the triggering conduct could simply be offering or attempting to wager something of value on a WNBA competition. But one crucial phrase cannot be skipped. Found by the commissioner after a hearing. A viral clip is not automatically a final legal or disciplinary finding. The league would need to establish what was actually agreed upon. Was fine a dollar amount, a dinner, a joke, or nothing concrete? Did either player understand the conversation as a real wager? Was payment requested or transferred? Did the agreement concern the final result, an individual matchup, or something outside the scope of the rule? Those factual distinctions matter, yet they are reasons to investigate, not reasons to pretend the footage does not exist. The league can protect both competitive integrity and basic fairness by reviewing the exchange, instead of allowing social media to conduct the entire trial.
From any further association with the WNBA. If I had to guess, a fine is what's going to take place. I doubt they're going to be suspended. I doubt they're going to be dismissed from the league.
A fine may be the most realistic outcome. If the league concludes that a minor but genuine wager occurred without any attempt to influence competition, that would acknowledge the violation while distinguishing it from serious betting misconduct. A warning or educational response is also possible if the WNBA determines that the conversation was unserious and no money changed hands. But doing absolutely nothing without explaining why would create the worst precedent. It would suggest that the policy is written broadly but enforced only when the league finds enforcement convenient. The credibility of sports rules comes from consistency, not maximum punishment. Nobody needs to demand the harshest available penalty before the facts are known. The public needs to see that a recognizable standard exists. Investigate the incident, make a factual determination, explain the reasoning, and apply a proportionate consequence if the policy was violated. That approach would also protect Reese and Bueckers from the wildest accusations. Right now, every missed layup, turnover, defensive mistake, and coaching decision can be dragged into conspiracy theories because the league has left the original question unresolved. A transparent review could separate a careless conversation from actual manipulation. Without that separation, suspicion grows far beyond what the evidence supports.
What's going on over here in the WNBA? Now, I want to be fair to Angel Reese here. I want to be fair to Angel Reese here because it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. You can't be this bad, right? Unless you're trying to be this bad, right? Right? You can't be this trash at making wide open layups unless you're trying to be this trash at making wide open layups. You know what I mean? So it's beginning to make sense to me why Angel Reese is as poor of a player as she's doing it on purpose.
This is where criticism crosses the line from fair scrutiny into an unsupported accusation. Angel Reese missing shots does not prove that she was intentionally trying to lose a wager. Basketball players miss open layups. They get blocked, rush attempts, lose balance, and make poor decisions. Reese has visible offensive limitations, particularly around efficiency and finishing, But turning those limitations into evidence of deliberate sabotage requires proof that has not been presented. That distinction is not a defense of the alleged wager. It is a defense of basic logic. The clip of the agreement may justify a compliance inquiry. It does not justify reverse engineering every mistake into point shaving. In fact, there is a stronger criticism available without making that leap. Active players should understand that even joking about money tied to their own game creates exactly this type of speculation. Once the public hears that one player may owe another because of the final result, ordinary basketball mistakes stop looking ordinary to suspicious viewers. The players may have intended nothing sinister, but they created an avoidable credibility problem for themselves and the league. Reese is one of the most polarizing athletes in women's basketball. Bueckers is one of its most heavily promoted young stars. That makes the standard more important, not less important. High-profile players are not merely participants.
This is during the game. Angel Reese was pissed her teammates didn't pass her the ball. The next possession, she got swatted. Here it is. Ryan Howard sees Angel Reese wide open. Ryan Howard says, nah, you're trash. Hell out of here. You're trash. I'm not giving you the ball. Oh, give me the ball. That's what Angel Reese is saying in turn. Oh, give me the ball. I gotta miss this layup. And then the very next possession, you can't make this up. Look at her teammates. Angel, it's okay, Angel. It's okay. It's okay. We saw you.
Here, the host uses a normal sequence of frustration as circumstantial evidence. Reese wants the ball, does not receive it, then gets an opportunity on the next possession and is stopped. From a basketball perspective, there are several ordinary explanations. Her teammate may have disliked the passing angle. The defense may have recovered. Reese may have called for the ball because she believed she had inside position. The next possession may simply have ended in a strong defensive play. None of that establishes a connection to the alleged bet. The more responsible analysis is to keep the two subjects separate. Reese's offensive performance can be criticized on film. The apparent wager can be evaluated under league policy. Combining them without evidence makes the argument emotionally powerful but factually weaker. It also distracts from the conduct that is already visible. No conspiracy theory is required to say that discussing payment based on a game result was reckless. No missed shot montage is required to say the league should clarify its gambling rules. And no personal attack is required to ask whether public stars receive more favorable treatment than lower-profile players. That is the mid-story trap. The most sensational accusation is not always the most damaging one. The deeper problem may be institutional. A league social account apparently amplified the footage, recognized the danger, deleted it, and still left the audience without a public explanation.
Folks, if this was, look, WNBA deletes post of Paige Bueckers' Angel Reese making bet on their game. Leave it to the WNBA to create a potential gambling scandal of its own making involving two of its most high-profile stars. The league's official X account posted, and since deleted, these idiots posted it. That's not Kathy Engelbert's, well, it is Kathy Engelbert. It's whoever hires these people. That's whose fault it is. You hire idiots.
This may be the most revealing part of the entire controversy. The league's official account reportedly published the content itself. That means the clip was not uncovered through leaked messages, secret audio, or an investigative report. Someone working within the WNBA's media operation apparently viewed it, approved it, and presented it as promotional material. That suggests one of two things. Either the people handling the account did not recognize the gambling implications, or they recognized the exchange as harmless entertainment and changed course only after the reaction. Both possibilities require an explanation. If the WNBA believed the conversation was clearly a joke, it could have left the post up and explained the context. If it believed the conversation might violate policy, it should have preserved the evidence and referred it for review. Quiet deletion communicates neither confidence nor accountability. Social media employees make mistakes, but the subject matters. This was not a typo in a score graphic. It involved active players appearing to discuss something of value tied to the result of their own game. Every modern sports league should have a review process for content involving betting language. The safeguards should be strongest when the content comes from official accounts, because official publication can make questionable conduct look league-approved. That is the payoff the deletion was hiding. The scandal may not be that the WNBA exposed a fixed game. There is no proof of that. The scandal may be that the league exposed how unprepared it was to recognize and manage an obvious integrity question involving two marketable stars.
Yeah, if this was NBA players, they'd be investigated. Let's call a spade a spade. If these were two NBA players, they'd be investigated. Especially two high-profile players. Oh yeah, the NBA's opened up an investigation.
The comparison with men's sports becomes useful only when it is made carefully. Major men's leagues have faced repeated betting investigations, and players can face serious discipline when they wager on league games, share inside information, or manipulate performance. But those cases are normally built on financial records, communications, betting activity, testimony, or suspicious statistical patterns. They are not resolved solely by a joking clip. The WNBA should be held to the same principle: investigate credible evidence, establish the facts, and discipline violations consistently. Equality does not mean assuming guilt, because male players might receive scrutiny. It means providing the same level of scrutiny regardless of gender, fame, race, popularity, or commercial value. That standard protects the league in both directions. It prevents stars from receiving a silent exemption, and it prevents viral outrage from replacing due process. Reese and Bueckers should not be punished because critics dislike them. They should be evaluated based on what they said, what they intended, what occurred afterward, and what the written policy requires. If the league concludes no real wager existed, it should say that and explain the evidence. If the league concludes a wager was offered but never completed, it should identify how the attempted wager language applies. If money or another item of value changed hands, then the league should explain the penalty and why it is proportionate. The worst option remains selective ambiguity, because selective ambiguity feeds the belief that discipline depends on who generates revenue.
Now, if Congress looks into the WNBA and this whole Caitlin Clark, hey, sometimes you need to just get your foot in the door to find what's really going on here. However, the FBI could probably just do it by themselves. So FBI, get on the damn case. Get on the damn case. You pull some DraftKings numbers, you pull some FanDuel numbers, you take a look at some over, some under, you'll be like, wait a second. Wait a second. What's going on over here?
Calls for the FBI are premature based on the evidence shown. Federal investigators do not launch a game-fixing case simply because two players appear to make a small personal bet. A criminal investigation would normally require credible evidence of fraud, bribery, unlawful betting activity, manipulation, or a broader scheme. None of that has been established here. But the exaggerated demand points toward a real concern: sports integrity cannot be evaluated only through the final score. Betting markets now include individual points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, first baskets, quarter results, margins, and countless live propositions. A player could theoretically affect a narrow market without changing which team wins. That is precisely why leagues prohibit broad categories of wagering and closely control inside information. The rules are designed to prevent both manipulation and conflicts of interest before they become criminal scandals. The league's responsibility is preventive. It should not wait until law enforcement has probable cause before taking a public compliance issue seriously. There is also a difference between a friendly competitive challenge and a wager on a sanctioned game. Players can say the loser buys dinner after a practice shooting contest, a card game, or an off-season workout. But when the agreement attaches value to an official game, the league's integrity policy may become relevant even if the amount is tiny. The commissioner does not need to accuse anyone of fixing a result to say, this conduct is prohibited because it creates the wrong incentive and the wrong appearance. That is how strong institutions handle gray areas before they become black and white scandals.
Okay, then the very next possession, oh, perfect entry pass right over Jessica Shepard. Angel Reese has it down low. Shout out to the Pope. Getting blocked by Lee from three.
Yeah, bro.
Here we go. Angel Reese with a wide open layup to cut the lead to 6. Oh, Angel Reese with a wide open layup. They're running. She gets the pass. One dribble, wide open. Bang! I don't know that guy's name. But he's funny. Butter pecan. Bang!
This missed opportunity is likely to be replayed endlessly because it fits the accusation emotionally. Chicago needed points. Reese had a chance near the basket, and the possession ended badly. But emotion is not evidence. One failed attempt cannot tell us what a player intended. What it can show is why public confidence matters. When fans believe every participant is competing only to win, a miss is a miss. Once a separate financial agreement becomes attached to the result, the same miss acquires a second interpretation. That is the damage caused by the appearance of a conflict, even when no manipulation occurred. The league therefore has an incentive to resolve the matter quickly. Prolonged silence allows creators on every side to construct narratives from isolated plays. Reese's critics will treat mistakes as proof. Her defenders will dismiss every concern as hatred. Bueckers' popularity will inspire accusations of favoritism. The actual policy question gets buried underneath tribal arguments. A credible ruling would narrow the dispute. It would tell fans whether a real wager existed, whether the rule applied, and whether competitive integrity was affected. That conclusion may disappoint people seeking a massive scandal, but clarity is more valuable than spectacle, and clarity must include the player's side. A short explanation from Reese and Bueckers could resolve several unknowns. What exactly did fine mean? Was the exchange comedic? Was any payment sent? Did they understand it as a wager? Were league officials notified? Those answers should come before anyone declares either player guilty of intentionally altering a professional game.
Do that. Oh, we gotta delete. The WNBA, as I've said for a long time now, it's a money laundering scheme. It's money laundering. It's money washing. You name it. The WNBA. FBI needs to look into this league. The FBI needs to look into this league. Screw Congress. Let's get the FBI on the case.
The opening monologue describes the entire WNBA as a money laundering operation and alleges blatant point shaving across multiple seasons. Those are serious claims, but the transcript provides no verified financial records, sworn testimony, betting analysis, law enforcement findings, or direct evidence supporting them. They should not be treated as established fact. Questionable officiating is also not proof of rigging. Referees can be inconsistent, inexperienced, poorly positioned, or simply wrong. To establish game manipulation, investigators would need evidence connecting suspicious decisions to money, coordinated conduct, or deliberate efforts to alter an outcome. This matters because weak accusations can shield real accountability. When every controversial foul becomes proof of a criminal conspiracy, league officials can dismiss all criticism as unserious. The better strategy is to isolate the strongest verifiable issue. Two players were shown discussing what sounded like a bet connected to their game. The league's official account reportedly posted and deleted the footage. The quoted policy appears to prohibit direct or indirect wagering of something valuable on a WNBA competition. Those facts alone justify questions. A responsible investigation could also review whether the social media deletion preserved the original material, whether the players were interviewed, whether any payment records exist, and whether the league's gambling education program clearly addresses informal peer-to-peer wagers. That is not an accusation of guilt. It is the routine work required to protect a professional competition. The WNBA is growing, attracting larger audiences, more sponsorship attention, and greater betting interest. Growth increases the cost of appearing unprepared. A small incident handled transparently may disappear within days. A small incident hidden or minimized can become evidence, in the public imagination, that the entire system protects its stars.
Idiots. That's our problem too. They hire idiots. We know the people in the front offices, in the executive roles. We know they're all idiots, yet we expect them to behave like non-fools. Jason Willock put this best when he was applying it to the referees. Hey, you got DEI referees. What are you gonna expect? The best? You're gonna expect quality? You got a DEI league. What are you gonna expect? What are you gonna expect? Let me know your thoughts.
The host ends by blaming hiring practices and turning the controversy into a broad ideological attack. That does not answer the core question. Competence should be judged through decisions, procedures, and results, not assumptions about identity. The decision that matters now belongs to the WNBA. The league has several defensible options, but each requires transparency. It can determine that there was no real wager and release the context supporting that conclusion. It can decide that the players violated a technical rule and issue a warning or fine. It can impose a suspension if the facts show a clearer and more serious breach. What it cannot do without damaging trust is quietly erase the post and hope the audience forgets. The players also have an opportunity to handle this directly. They can explain what was meant, whether anything was exchanged, and why the conversation should or should not be understood as a genuine bet. A clear answer would be far more effective than allowing edited clips and missed shot compilations to define the story. So the final question is not whether one bad layup proves point shaving. It does not. It is not whether a deleted social post proves the league fixes games. It does not. The real question is whether the WNBA will enforce the plain integrity standard it expects fans to trust. Should Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese face a formal review under the quoted wagering rule, even if the bet was small and playful? Or should the league treat the exchange as harmless trash talk with no disciplinary consequence? Choose one. Explain why in the comments, and subscribe if you want sharp WNBA analysis that separates the evidence from the noise.